Hello guys and welcome back to the STPL. My name is Kix. Joining me here is Rapid and we're getting ready for set number 2.
That's me and us, and here we are for our second set of the STPL round 4. It's good to be back. It's good to have all of you fantastic people out there back with us. So our second set is going to be pretty special for a couple of reasons. That means that we get a chance to see kind of the new teams, or the new rosters rather, for the teams in round 4. And for FBW, that means that we've sort of shaken things up a little bit and found extra spots on the roster to fit some great players. And same thing for pSi Storm, who have a little bit to prove this round after they didn't have the best round last time.
Yeah, so just to start we'll have a look at FBW's history. FBW lost to Naz last round, but I mean I need to figure out a way of showing the round 2 stats on the stream as well, because FBW were two individual games of not getting into the playoffs and knocking out White Clan. I mean, that's just insane. Like, they did so well in round 2, and in round 3 they've added another player to their roster, which was a little bit, they've kind of poached them from another team, which I know a few people weren't very happy about, but you know, that happened. But let's just quickly, just as I realise I haven't actually switched the over, we'll just quickly have a look at FBW's intro, and then we'll have a look at our next team as well. So here we go, you guys. Second. And here we go. So many Marines coming in, but there's so many Zealots reinforcing. Do they have any upgrades? And goody GG's. He doesn't have enough splash. He didn't get any more Templar. And Roegi with a very, very cool build takes down Goody. Barracks, we've got Lings breaking into the natural as well. It looks like Lumire may have done a tense third game for Lumire, and a great ace match for him instead. I mean, the SUVs are going to clean up the Lings eventually, but still, he is just losing every single Marine. The barracks are actually going down now as well. And GG! Now going to have a Maelstrom and Tick. Going to stop the Lurkers from burrowing. That's actually going to be a big, big move. The Lurker's going to burrow eventually though, and there isn't an Observer over here, but a nice Storm on top of all of those Lurkers going to take it down. And Jojo, unfortunately, we're too late as I said before. GG! More Lings coming in behind this, and Lurker even irradiated, but that's going to be too much. GG!
It's showtime.
Okay, so that's going to take us into our second team here. It's going to be pSi Storm. So pSi Storm, as you said before the break, Rapid, they've got a little bit to prove here. The first 3 rounds, they've not done that good. You can see in the last 10 series, have not won a single series, which is a bit disappointing for them. They've come close a few times, but it's not been great for them.
Yeah, and let's not sort of prejudge them too much. It's not like they can't reinvent themselves for this season. You kind of do have to go off of past performance, but for this season, I don't know what to expect. It could be a much different story this season than it has been in the past. But I think going up against Foreign Brood War is certainly a tough opponent to start with.
Yeah, so let's actually quickly show off their team intro, introduce our rosters and players. Now, Lings coming in from behind though with Ultramist. This may just be too much. More flash for the win to try and handle the bunker though. Still alive, holding on with everything he has, but look at the amount of Zerg units flowing down the map, and GG! In the mineral line, 1 kill already, gonna get a second. The cannon coming up to defend back at home. But Castle has so few probes right now. This could be the quickest game of STPL history. Another probe has gone down. He needs to save one. If he doesn't save a probe, he's going to lose, because he won't be able to build anything now. GG! Far behind, and Mitak with more units coming over. That's not cool. GG! Gonna pay off for him, and in a big, big way. pSi are gonna take a 1-0 lead against IRK, which is gonna be a huge thing for them. We do have the first Reaver out, maybe. With this Reaver, he can do something. He can't even finish Garrett. Boom! Goes the Dynamite, the Reaver goes down, and GG!
It's showtime.
Okay guys, that's us back again. That's going to take us into today's match. You can see the total wins for both teams not very high. Storm has played since round 1 and they've only won 3 series overall. FBW have played since round 1 as well, but they've had a lot of different incarnations of their team. They started off as FBW, then they merged with Team Liquid Staff and became 9th team in round 2. And then in round 3 they came back as FBW, won their 6 series you see on the screen. You can see that FBW, most of their games have come from Zerg. I mean, they're mainly a Zerg team if you think about it when you look at their rosters a little bit later on. But Storm, their Protoss have done a pretty good job for them. Definitely the best of their available races. You have players like Marine, players like Headmaster doing an incredible job. And we're going to see a few of them here as we introduce today's rosters. So let's actually have a look here. The first match is going to be between TT1 and Praise. That should be a pretty cool PvP. We're going to have a ZVP between Hirmu and Marine on New Bloody Ridge. A PvZ between Tupac and Mitak on Eye of the Storm. And then a ZVP between Headmaster and Cadenti on Great Barrier Reef. I would say this is definitely going to be the key matchup of this series. Cadenti, a very, very strong foreign Zerg player at the moment, living out in Korea, and Headmaster definitely the highlight of Storm's roster.
You know, that might be the key matchup, but you got to get there, right? If you lose 3-0 before there, then, you know, it's sick key matchup. But no, I would totally agree. And I do think it's a good way to start things off, too, with our boy TT1 playing. He had a really sort of nail-biting series in BSL a couple of days ago. So it'll be interesting to see how he does against Praise as maybe a way to kind of redeem himself.
Yeah, so TT1 joined the STPL in round 3. He won every single game he played. In PvP, he's currently 3-0. He beat Sugo, he beat Dreamer, and he beat Amputee from Bull as well. But he is certainly a strong player, and his opponent is going to be on the other side of things. It's going to be Praise for Psi. Now, he has gone 0-3 in PvP, lost to Quanwu, lost to White, and lost to Haji. Now, they are strong opponents to have in PvP. But definitely Praise not the strongest member of Psi's roster, but this is round 4. It's a brand new STPL, technically. It's a brand new round. We've got brand new overlays, and this is going to be a brand new Psi, I would say, with renewed optimism. They jump in. Huge thank you, Togi Yogi, for the Twitch Prime sub, man. Welcome to the club. And let's quickly introduce our first map of the series. And apparently I'm gonna, yeah, I have to restart that 1 second. Here we go. Oh, okay, so this is one of the things we need to figure out. This is one of the little thing we gotta sort. There we go. Well, let's see. Okay, well, we are back. As you can see, Holy World SE, a great map. I'll just quickly do the cool drawing thing that I do now because I kind of just want an excuse to be able to do it. I mean, we've got four spawn. PvP could come down a lot to what's really going on at the naturals. You can see that if we were to look at the top left base once again, that's the right color. You can see it's a low ground main. That does make things a little bit more interesting in PvP. I'm a little bit more coin flippy somehow. Obviously, if a player goes for 3 gateway and they push up to your natural, you lose control of your high ground. You could be in for a bad day, and one of the major things about this map is you'll see there's actually a pathway around the back of the main as well. So not only can you contain the ramp, you can also start to sort of shuttle drop in the back of the main.
I want to see that shuttle drop happen. It was a TVZ to start things off, so obviously on Holy World I always hope that a Zerg player is playing there, but especially if you try to find a way to abuse these low ground bases, I think that's kind of what this map comes down to a lot of the time.
Yeah, now there is the one major map feature on this map, the neutral, not command center, that's not going to come into it to PvP, but there are these neutral disruption webs around the outside of the middle. Now, if there's one matchup that they might come into play outside of TVT, it's going to be PvP. You see big winding engagements throughout the center of the map, and it's going to be a little bit harder to dodge those for the Protoss units on both sides. Now, TT1 a very strong PvPer, so I'm not sure if we're going to get to that stage, but Praise is certainly going to do his best here as we get into game number 1 of our second set of today's STPL. It's TT1 versus Praise. Okay, and starting us off here in the bottom right-hand position, we do have... Oh, this is going to be confusing. I'm going to guess the orange is TT1, but I don't know. Oh, it's a PVZ. I think Praise plays possibly. Is someone in the chat that actually knows? Because I have no idea.
Well, I think it's safe to say that TT1 is not playing Zerg.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to, say anything about his off races. I'm just saying,
Okay, hopefully, I mean, Marina saw in chat before, hopefully he's going to be able to confirm. But it looks like we're going to have Praise down here in the bottom left-hand position is Blue Zerg.
Okay, so somehow, even though the overlay said PvP, we found a way to have a Zerg play on Holy World. And this is all that really needs to happen. Because as a viewer, you don't even need to know anything about the new map or the races or the game of Brood War. You just need to know that there's a neutral command center in the middle. And every Zerg's goal is to infest that at some point for massive internet points and clout and all those other cool imaginary things. So aside from that, they are those low ground mains. So I hope that we get a chance to see some cool drop play, like you mentioned in the overlay. I don't know. I just want to see some shenanigans because this is a new map. It's a new round of STPL, and so we've got to get these out of the way. At some point this round, somebody's got to do it.
Yeah, I mean, we've got many games still to come. There's not as many games in round 4 as in round 3, and as much as it pains me to say that, we did have 2 teams drop out, Media and MSJ. But honestly, for my own sanity, I think it works out a little bit better. It works out a little bit better for the scheduling as well, because no longer do I somehow need to fit 8 series into or into a single week, which I couldn't do, so we kind of mess things around a bit. But we've got some 6 series coming up. We're going to have a look at the schedule a little bit at the end of the stream. But things looking kind of crazy. TT1 doing his best to block this hatchery. Doing a fairly good job of it so far, actually. Praise unfortunately blocking his own hatchery there for a little bit. Unable to get the hatchery down.
Well, this is just really annoying. Okay. Theoretically, eventually the ranged attack from the drone is going to kill the probe, right? Right?
I think so, but probes,
No,
I mean...
no.
Probes are pretty saggy. Now, the problem is, Praise has gone for a third base very close by. To take a second hatchery finally. But he's taken it on the mirror-only side, so he's not going to have a third gas anytime soon. Now, he does have Lings on the way. He did go for a spawning pool first, so it's not or nothing for him. He's not kind of tried to go for a 12 hatchet and got delayed, because that is absolutely awful for the Protoss player. But the Ling's going to chase this probe away and just be kind of annoying. The drone actually heading out to take a possible other main as his natural hatchery here, which is going to be kind of interesting if he does this.
Is he really going to go for this? Wow. Okay. This is actually pretty strange. I'm not as up on Praise's gameplay as I am on TT1's, but I still have never seen a Zerg player do this on this map. You're basically just saying, like, what base can't I take without having any units? And he does have a few Zerglings, but I don't know if that's quite enough here. We have 3 Zealots and a probe headed out across the map. You need more than 4 to 8 Lings to stop that.
Yeah, now it is a Gateway Forge into Nexus afterwards, so TT1 definitely not playing too greedy. does have a good amount of units. Looks like that was a drone scout. He did send his overlord a little bit late, so he won't be taking a hatchery up there for now. Is going to get his natural hatchery. This is actually going to help him wall off. There's actually a lot of links that have suddenly appeared out of nowhere, and TT1 Zealots are suddenly in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, he's trying to do some stutter step micro, but that only works so well. And thankfully, he got one of them behind the mineral line, so that's going to be annoying. But yeah, mission accomplished. This is the rush is over. So, or I don't know if you want to call it a rush, but the aggression is over. It's been held, and you know the zealots getting in there are going to see this hatchery in the natural, and they're just gonna be like, okay, you know that makes sense, right? We delayed it. It's still there, but he doesn't know about that drone that snuck to the upper right-hand corner.
Doesn't, and also he didn't see the low drone count in the main. I mean, all of a sudden Praise has just, he's built a lot of drones in one go. But now TT1 knows exactly what's going on. He sees the next large swell of links that were going to leave the main base there. He just saw some at his wall, so he definitely knows there's some aggression coming up here. And now the links still trying to do their best to take down this Zealot who is just... I mean, I swear Protoss players just butter Zealots up. They just never seem to die.
Same thing with probes. It's just like, I don't know how it moves through everything.
Oh my god, and the Zealot gets in the main as well. He's going to scout the probe count. He could even kill a drone here. He does.
What?
TT1.
That Zealot has 13 HP.
And
there is no justice in the world.
It's still alive. It's still getting away. And now it goes down. But still, that's insane. I mean, back at TT1's base, he's going into a cyber core, so a little bit late on his tech, I think. He did kind of delay that a little bit to get the extra APM down on Zealots early on. But we've got 3 bases up now for Praise. He doesn't have that many at any of his bases at this point, and he's going into a Hydra debt.
Alright, so this is going to be a Hydra play. I don't... let's see if we see as many spore colonies as we had last time. I think last time there was like 2 or 3.
Yeah, there wasn't that many spores, but it looks like TT1 could possibly be looking at taking a quick third base here. Now this is heavily defended by the minerals out the front, so you can get that early gas, which does help for High Templar. But you can kind of see the polar opposites by looking at either side of the map at the moment. Got the mineral only side, which Praise has opted to go for. Now TT1 hasn't scouted this just yet, so TT1 may think that Praise is a little bit further behind than he actually is, but then again, TT1 is so good at this game, I think he could probably tell what's going on without scouting it.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's not about what you see, it's about what you don't see. So. Yeah. He should be able to figure it out. Obviously, things like Overlords help Zerg scout, and as soon as I think eventually we have a Corsair out, which should happen at some point,
Yeah, there's still no Stargate though.
But
it went straight
I'm talking about the Corsair coming out, and I'm looking around. And I'm just like, wait a second, there's no Stargate. This is just a lot of gateways.
Yep, I mean, luckily enough for him, there's not going to be a muta switch, so that's possibly one reason why he chose to stop Corsair production and skip the Stargate entirely. Not really too much of TT1's actual tournament games recently. He did play, unfortunately, in the recent ESL. I picked him for my fantasy league. I won't tell you the results of that, but we didn't really do much of his PvZ there, so kind of cool just to see sort of TT1 putting the feelers out, sending a few scouts every once in a while, just seeing exactly what's going on, going into a very quick +2 at least. This is going to be a +1 Zealot leg speed attack, and we finally do have that Stargate coming in, so it's not like he skipped it entirely, and the Templar Archives is coming in as well.
Alright, well yeah, you're exactly right, Kix. We're going to have some manlots out across the map as, wow, is this like a control group of Zealots just kind of chilling at the front door? This is going to be so scary. Where's the Overlord that was in the main? I guess he pulled it back, yes, wisely so. So, here we go. About, is that 10, 12 Zealots? I think it's 10 Zealots running across the map. And there are Speedlings in the way, but that's not going to do anything against +1 because it's Zealots.
Yeah, +1 hasn't quite finished yet. There is a good number of Hydlers up here as well, so this is one benefit, but he needs to pull back to the few Sunkens he has. These Zealots want blood. They're moving in very, very quickly. and Praise can't stop to attack because he knows the second he stops, the Zealots get on top of him, and TT1 wisely pulls back.
All right, we're gonna try to take out the Overlord. It's weird to see these D-matrices be used in the middle of the map, but look at that. There's not enough micro on the Hydras. The Zealots get right on top of them. He's not pulling them back, and so Praise is gonna lose so much here.
Yeah, this is such a huge amount of damage being done by TT1 at the moment. He still hasn't seen that third base, so he's not able to go and kill it. I mean, there's only actually one sunken colony there. Now, TT1 looks like he's actually misjudging where this third is going to be. He has seen the creep, though, but has he noticed it? It's hard to see on the minimap, and he's gone to the natural scene. There's no base, and he has noticed the creep now. So that was a little bit of a lucky scout there by TT1, as Praise is forced to evacuate his third base.
Yeah, there's nothing Praise can do here. There's only one sunken, and yeah, he gets the bonus Zealot kill at the end. But now so many more Hydras are gonna die. The hatchery, to its credit, is actually still alive. So, if anything, the Hydras are saving the hatchery with their deaths. But here come DTs, and let's see how many
very few Overlords.
How many Overlords do we have?
Yeah, there's just one, and there's actually 3 Corsairs now, killing an additional 2 Overlords. The final sunken colony is going to go down. I don't even think he needs the DTs here. The Manlot's doing so much damage, and Praise is losing everything he has. GG! TT1 wins his 7th game in a row.
Alright, wow, TT1 on a roll. What a legend. Taking out Praise there. I admit that it was a little bit weird to see it start off as PvP, and then you load into the game and see that he's playing Zerg. So, I think TT1 may be a little bit of a bigger name with some better performances, but either way, I think it's representative of what we're going to see for maybe the rest of the series, with Psystorm struggling against a really strong roster of Foreign Brood War.
Yeah, I mean, let's take a very short break as we load up the second game, and when we get back, it's a really sick game between Hiramu and Marine, so don't go anywhere. Okay guys, welcome back to the STPL. You're watching myself, I'm Kix, and joining me is Rap, and we're here for our second setup today. It's FBW versus Psi.
Yeah, continuing with a series that is going to give us the chance to see what both of these teams look like in the brand new round with some new players and hopefully some new form for Psystorm. I don't know what to expect from them, but they did struggle last season. They lost game number 1, so maybe they can bring it back here in game 2.
Yep, so let's, without further ado, introduce our first couple of players here. Now, it's going to be someone who's pretty well known for FBW now. It is Hyunwoo. He's been around in the STPL since round 1, playing every single week, I believe. He's actually played 17 games overall. This is going to be his 18th. Played a lot of games on Plasma. Round 3 was kind of the Plasma round for him. And I wonder if this round is going to be the new Bloody Ridge round for him. But I mean, it's going to be great to see him. He has played against 9 Terrans supposedly. He actually beat Reina and lost to Koget and Scan. So not had the best record, but still not anything to be scoffed at. An incredibly good player. And his opponent going to be over here for pSi. It's going to be Marine now. Marine, another player who is incredibly good on their roster. Only looks like the races are a bit messed up, but basically played I think he played 1 versus game. He's going to be playing Terran here, so kind of him do that. His TVZ is pretty good. Marine is one of those weird players. I don't know how they do it, but he plays all of the races, and it's just crazy.
Yeah, I don't know if we have a good example of a random player that's just so sick at everything, but you know, he doesn't play random. But well, I guess okay, fair enough. But he doesn't play random, but he does play all the races very well. And he's going to have to in order to beat the Titan foreign Brood War scene that is Hyunwoo.
Yep. So without further ado, let's introduce our next map. I said there would be a few weird little things going on here. The unfortunate thing is, obviously, it's been a while. We'll leave the map intro for that. I'll sort that ready for the next cast. But this is a brand new overlay, guys. I thought a few things would go wrong. We're going to go into our second map here. It is going to be New Bloody Ridge. And we've already had a pretty fun game on here so far. It was a very quick game, though. It was a PvZ between Bonneth and who did he play against? How have I forgotten already? But he pretty much died to Zerglings.
Do I remember that? I don't think I remember that. Thanks for jogging my memory there, Kick.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. We've already been casting for just over 2 hours, and my mind is already going blank. But I'm kind of out of practice at this. I've had a long break, so just to quickly go over the map. It is a 2-player map, as you can see on your screen right now. There are the ridges in the middle that you can see here. This is going to be a TVZ, so these are going to be very, very important. Very good to put lurkers on top of those. Makes it very difficult for Terran to make it over the map. Now, if you actually have a look at the way the map's laid out, say we have Terran spawning down here in the bottom left, there's actually 4 or 5 pathways, I would say. You've got the 2 ridges, the very small gap in the middle, and the 2 sort of corner bases to go through. Now, this does mean it's a little bit harder for Zerg to take a 3rd base far away, but they do have 2 bases on the high ground, here and here, where they can defend with lurkers, which I think. But it obviously does limit their movement to 4th base. It's really going to come down to how well Hyunwoo can make use of lurkers on this map. The mineral line is quite well defended by their positioning. The natural mineral line, there is a cliff behind it, but the cliff is actually in the main as well. So it makes it a little bit more difficult for those mutants to bounce in and out as freely as you could see on a map like Fighting Spirit. And as this is a 2-player map, we probably shouldn't expect a massively long game. But I said that before against Plasma, where he played a 1 hour 15-minute game, I think it was, in round 3. And that was the ZVP, which doesn't usually go on that long. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get in to game number 2 here for today's second series. It's Hyunwoo versus Marine. Okay, starting us off here in the top right-hand position, we do have the yellow Heron fighting pSi Storm. It's Marine.
And his opponent on the opposite side of the map in the, I guess, white as Zerg, this is Hirmu. Staple of the non-Korean Brood War scene. Got a chance to hang out with him at the 20th anniversary LAN in Moscow and introduced him to the wonder that is TGI Fridays, staple of all things American cuisine.
Wait, they have TGI Fridays in Russia?
They do. They in
Wow.
fact have most things as a major industrialized nation, Kicks.
It's just like TGI Fridays is kind of like I didn't realize they were that big of a franchise. Like, I knew they're in America. There's like a few in the UK, but they're not like everywhere. So I just didn't expect them to be in Russia, I guess.
Well, we also took the 3 Korean players, Sharp, Miso, and Shine, to Russian KFC to see if it held up to their high Korean fried chicken standards. And it was actually not bad. I didn't know what to expect, but it was pretty much the generic KFC experience. So nothing special whatsoever, aside from the fact that it was in Russia.
Yeah, the KFC experience seemed kind of weird to me because in the UK, like, most people would argue that it's definitely the best fast food you can get here, like, in terms of fast food. But I know a lot of Americans hate KFC, so
yeah, it's a little bit hit or miss. But you know, in America, everybody gets their own KFC, but in Russia, you have to share your KFC with everyone else.
that's a good joke. They only sell buckets in Russia, right?
You're not wrong, but it's okay because everybody owns the means of production for the buckets equally.
Yeah, you actually create your own bucket in the factory before you go into KFC, like a factory tour, but like with KFC. It's pretty good.
Yeah, and then you create your own chicken when you're in there.
That would be so good. I'd just eat so much chicken if I did that. I wouldn't be good. I would just be way too fat.
Yeah, and plus you guys have Nando's, so why would you want KFC anyway?
I've never been to Nando's.
Oh my god, fake UK person. How could you, Kicks?
I know everyone has
I thought
been
it was
to Nando's.
United Kingdom. The kingdom united in Nando's.
I would happily eat KFC right now if I could, to be honest.
Well,
late,
I mean, you could always
so.
move to Korea and then you can get it delivered 24 hours a day.
That's a very good idea. That's a really good idea. I mean, in terms of the game that's going on right now, Hirmu has taken this expansion. He'd go for 9 full speed to begin with, so I don't think he lost speed, but he went for a 9 pull to start with gas, went for a very, very quick layer off of two hatcheries. And Marine is going to scout this, so not too great for him. Back at home, hasn't got his expansion yet. I think he was a little bit worried about that the command center going down to any early Ling aggression, so he went for a bunker before an expand.
Yes, okay, so what's this? We're building bunkers in our naturals? Oh my gosh. It just says a reference to that last game we may have needed one but didn't have it. So, or not the last game, but the last series.
It's kind of ironic because now Marine's got the bunker, but he doesn't need anything, so yeah, this is a little bit unfortunate for him, but Hirmu just going to be macroing up. Obviously, Marine has perfect scouting information, does see the Hydralist end, so it is going to be 2-hatch lurker play coming out here from Hirmu. Not something you see very often. You can see Marine immediately after scouting the lack of Lings, the lack of Sunkens, is actually going to push across the map now, but the Sunkens are finish fairly shortly, but he's setting his SCVs as well. This is going to be a little bit of an all-in, well, not an all-in, he's got a lot of SCVs back at home, but he's throwing all his cards on the table, throwing all his chips in the pile, and he's going for a big attack here to see if he can hit Hirmu before he's too weak, and then he pulls back.
No, he's turning around. Yeah, wow. Okay, so in the end, that's just a lot of lost mining time. That's like 6 SCVs, 5 SCVs that just weren't mining for a while. But I like the idea, right? Because you see that your opponent's going for a build that is very fragile, that is very vulnerable to early aggression, but the 2 Sunkens came in probably just at the last possible moment. So I'm happy that the game didn't just end right there.
Yeah, we've had a lot of really quick games here today. It was meant to be like the big kind of relaunch of the STPL. I was thinking we'd have some really epic games. We've had some good games nevertheless, but they've not been those crazy like 45-minute macro fests that people like seeing. But I mean, to remember, the STPL does have maps that people don't often play. By the end of the rounds, the games on the maps definitely a lot now. Two Bloody Ridge is probably one of the most standard maps I've had in the STPL. It's not as played now, but I mean, just design-wise, it's fairly standard for a two-player map. So, looking forward to seeing exactly what this two-hatch Hydra Den is gonna be for. I don't see any Hydralisk just yet, so you know, it was kind of a fake Hydra Den into a mass Ling all-in. Certainly looks like it.
What? Dude, is Hirmu pulling out the 200 IQ plays?
Probably is. There's two bunkers.
There's two. Yeah, there's two. Well, so you fake a Hydra Den, which is like an early game like bust attempt, right? And then you try a different version of an early game bust attempt, and I'm just like, okay, well, like there's 3 bunkers here, my dude. Like,
3?
would you need one or?
Oh yeah, wow. Third bunker coming in.
I mean, it might not be done in time, but it's still gonna block. Here come the Lings. Oh my God! Let's find out if there's enough here. The Marines are actually, yeah, a little bit slow to get into the bunker, but one dies. There's a lot of Lings here, man. Oh
yeah,
my God! The second
SCV
bunker's
block.
the MVP though. Yeah.
That SCV block was so good. I mean, he does get a good amount of that bio. That's going to keep Marine stuck in his base for the meantime. But there's still no lurkers. There's still nothing over here to be able to block Marine from eventually just coming over and killing Hinamu. Lurker aspect has only just now started. This build by Hinamu is certainly not as efficient as what he'd like to do. He spent a lot of time faking something, and then it's almost like he waited a little bit too long to get the Lings into the base.
Wow. Yeah, I'm gonna have to drop the thinking emoji on that one. But yeah, to be fair, you know, it's when you go for it, what do you expect, right? If your opponent's well defended, you kind of know what you're gonna get at that point. And Hirmu might try it again, but he is getting lurkers behind this and some Hydras. So maybe round 2 is what does this. But you know, there's gonna be plenty of scan energy. By that time, we're gonna have tanks out, and all of this is gonna make it very difficult for Hirmu to take this game.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing is, well, Marine back at home has teched up very, very quickly. No science facility as of yet, though, but he's going to be able to go into dropships, which are really the counter to lurker play early on. It seems a bit counterintuitive, but one thing about lurkers is they don't shoot up. Now, the SCV does scout the 2 Hydras coming in, so there's not going to be any surprise now as to what's going on, and he can't really bust again, because, I mean, look at this defense. It's 3 bunkers, a tank. Siege mode is going to be on the way soon as well, or at least it should be, unless he's just not yet. And Hinamu is just not looking very strong right now. He's in a very, very precarious position in this game.
To be fair, you know, you ever been that Protoss player? I know you play Terran kicks, but like, you know,
Yeah.
feel with me for a second here. That Protoss player, you're like, all right, I'm at risk. I'm being rushed. What do? All right, you put up a bunch of cannons, and you hope. You got maybe like 5 cannons, like a solid number of cannons, you're just safe. And then the Lings run between the cannons, they kill everything, and you lose. And I'm just like, oh my God, how did that happen? So the same potential exists in ZVT, where you've got your bunkers, you've got your siege mode, you set up your base like a single player mission from the campaign, and then the Zerg just runs in and kills everything. So let's be a little bit optimistic here for a second. Our boy Hirmu needs our help, and maybe if we all like channel our positive energy, it'll make these lurkers run a little bit faster.
The big thing is here that +1 attack is not finished for Marine. This is one of the biggest problems he's going to have. Siege mode isn't finished either, and the lurkers are actually getting on top of the front set of bunkers. But there is a turret here, but if the turret goes down, it's just going to be scans. But it looks like this could be enough to hold on, but the second swell of Lings is moving in, the lurkers moving on top of all of those tanks. Can he take them down? He gets a good volley, but that's not enough. GG! And Hirmu is taken down by Marine in game number 2.
Yeah, in some senses, it feels like Hirmu was kind of taken down by himself there because, he's just trying to attack up against the brick wall, and, Zerglings are a little bit squishy against brick walls. That's not
Yeah.
a pretty picture. So I need to try a couple of rounds of a very aggressive kind of rush style, and then Hydra Den was kind of a cool way to start things off, but in the end, it did not wind up working out, and so that'll actually give Psystorm their first win in this series.
It does. That's going to take us into game number 3, which is going to be Tupacalypse versus Midhack. We see the return of Tupac. Tupac hasn't... I just realized how crazy that sounds, because we all know what happened to Tupac, right? But Tupac played in round 1, and in round 2, he didn't play at all. I think he went a little bit inactive, but he's back again in round 4. He's actually missed 2 rounds, I think, at this point. So, gonna be cool to see exactly how he's gonna be doing here against one of Psy's stronger Zerg players in yet another PBZ here on Eye of the Storm. So, see you guys in just a second. Okay guys, welcome back to the STPL. You're watching Kicks and Rapid, and we're here to bring you game number 3 of set number 2 of today's STPL. It's Psi versus FBW, and we're currently tied at 1.
Yeah, it was a little bit rough for Hirmu in the last game, trying some very aggressive builds into a Terran that had like 2 or 3 bunkers in siege mode and stuff. So, that was a little bit rough. But now we're going to get into game number 3. That means that every game in this series, not only will it be played as per usual, but it's going to matter for the purposes of winning the series. I think if you just look on paper, it's a little bit hard to root against FBW. But hey, Psystorm's on the board.
They are indeed. Now, we are going to go into a position where we've got a couple of players. One of them has played a little bit more recently. The Tupac, the guy on the screen at the moment, I mean, this guy been around for a long time in the Brood War scene. He is a mod, I believe he's a mod, not an admin, on the Team Liquid forums. So he's just been a member of the community for longer than I can even... I think he was a member of the community before I even joined Team Liquid, and that was 11 years ago now. Like, that's how long he's been around. He doesn't play as much recently. Not played in 2 rounds at least of the STPL, so back here again, you can see his last games were actually against players on SK Alpha and SK Bravo. And I mean, they're teams that they died last March or last April or something. So it's been a long time since we've seen him out here in the SCPL, but it's cool to see him once again. He's 1 for 2, at least back then, against Zerg, and it'll be cool to see how he does now in round number 4.
Oh, I thought that was the end. Never mind. Yes, it's cool to have it back. All right, sick. I don't know what to expect from Mitak, though. I think for Psystorm, a lot of their stats are a little bit skewed because, you know, obviously it's the cumulative result of, you know, quite a few losses last season. But it doesn't really, it may not be indicative of their overall performance, of each player's individual performance. So I guess we'll see how it goes.
Yep, so let's introduce our next map. It's going to be Eye of the Storm, and it should be a lot of fun. So, see you guys on the... Okay, here we go. Okay, so we saw there's a few defining features. There's a hard to take third gas, a very easy to defend, very wide mineral only in the 12 and 6 o'clock positions. You can see here and here, of course, the third gases that we'll likely see players take. We saw, okay, apparently screen that a little bit better now on the stream, which is good, but thankfully we saw in a PvZ before that we actually had the Zerg player take the sort of center base. I say they're center bases, they're kind of center flanking, kind of like what you see on Circuit Breaker. The way I view this map is kind of, it's very similar to Empire of the Sun with 1 less gas base per player. So a little bit more dynamic. 2 bases are, I mean, 2 bases are kind of the norm to see early on. You can see another player take another main. You can see in each of the mains the I guess you'd call them jokes for the natural, very small. You can't wall them off with buildings. I believe you may be able to wall them off with a pylon, but it's not too much of a big deal. Very easy to defend natural expansions though. So one thing I think we'll probably see is we'll see, say for example, attack spawns in this bottom left position. He'll take his third bit, or his natural, and then he'll likely take a third base at this bottom right position, depending on where 2-pack spawns. If they're in cross positions, it makes it a little bit harder to do, and especially with those kind of gateway styles and the more modern ones, it makes it a little bit difficult. So, looking forward to seeing this PvZ here as we get into game number 3. It's 2-pack versus Mitak. Now starting us off here, over in the top left-hand position, we do have the Orange Zerg fighting for Psystorm, Mitak.
And his opponent in the bottom right-hand corner in the peach, or whatever you want to call that. This is a somewhat opaque 2-pacalypse, or 2-pack.
Now, we saw a PvZ before. It was sort of close by air vertical positions. I don't think we're going to see the same sort of PvZ again. We did see It's so hard to remember the players from like an hour ago, which is really worrying, and it makes me really worry about my mind. But basically, we saw Tim versus Kingpin. Tim just played a very straight up game, just built a lot of gateway units, and kind of just uh, killed Kingpin, who didn't seem to build enough units to kind of hold on. He kind of overbuilt drones, so a little bit of a mistake there by Kingpin. I don't think we'll see that from Mitak here. We haven't seen too many of Mitak's games, only about 9 overall. No, more than that, sorry. He has actually won 6 of those, so he's done a pretty good job for his team. One of the stronger players on Storm so far. Headmaster going to be the next player we'll see in the next series. Also one of their strong ones as well. So all is still to play for in this series. Like, a lot of people have counted pSi out, but as I said before, this is a new round of STPL. We have renewed optimism by the rosters, and it's really a clean slate. Teams that maybe didn't do very well the previous rounds to come back and really show how much they've improved.
Yeah, I mean, they did that in game number 2. We'll see if they can continue that as well. Let's take a look at the builds and just kind of see how things are working out. Obviously, the more aggressive kind of gateway opener is not what we're having here. It's just going to be a Forge, Fast Expo, and I think both players are probably going to leave each other alone for the time being. So this actually should give a pretty good opportunity for both players to set everything up, play the game that they want to, and then we'll see who comes out on top.
Yeah, I mean, going back to my statement a bit before, one of the teams we actually saw that with in the SCPL was, I don't know if you can remember when Bull first started in round 2, they didn't win a single series, and then in round 3 they nearly made it into the playoffs. So
Yeah.
I know Psi have had a little bit more of a, I think this is the right word, I hope this isn't the wrong one, but gestation period, where they've kind of had 3 rounds where they've not done all that great. But I mean, they're in a better group for them this time. I think the matchups for them work out a little bit better. Obviously, we've got the full schedule up in the thread, so you can go and see that if you want to. There's going to be a graphic at the end showing what the upcoming ones are for them. But they've got a lot of matchups that say they're a lot closer in skill to. They're not going up against the likes of White Clan again. They are going to have to fight Soul at some point, but we've seen with Psi that when the time comes to it, they can get really clutch games going. I mean, they did beat Media in the last round. Media played incredibly well. We see Mitak also going for that middle third base, so going to likely see a little bit more of a Hydra style again.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to have a gas there as well, so it's not like it's, there's too many choices. The other option would be to, go for that 12 o'clock base, but that is actually kind of deceptively far away, and it's also kind of wide open. You've got multiple different pathways you got to watch out for, so I guess I can understand the thought process there. Plus, it's pretty easy to put a few Sunkens in SimCity that off, so it's not as vulnerable as it looks.
Yeah, it's a little bit easier to defend than maybe another natural is, but the problem really comes into it when you look to take a 4th base. Obviously, when you're going for these closer thirds, I mean, even when you're looking at maps such as Circuit Breakers, we see this quite a lot as well. People take the mineral only as their 3rd. And then you'll notice they kind of have to be aggressive if they want to expand again, because all of a sudden these Zealot builds coming out from these Protoss players all of a sudden pin them back in their 3 bases and they can't expand again. Now, we see Mitak already going for that Hydralist N. No layer or anything from him at the moment, going straight into this Hydra range, so he's certainly going to go for the Shine style of a Hydra bust here at the front. And you can see that 2-Pack's pylon positioning could really help Mitak here. There's not that much room for cannons.
No, there is not. Let's see, where do you put cannons? I guess you would put cannons on the north side of that and then block with zealots on the south. So it looks pretty solid. At least there's not just one cannon here.
Yeah.
These one cannon Protoss players, man, they think they're good. They win all these games, and then Mr. Nine Pool comes from them. And the Zerglings just run by and kill all their cannons, and they just have to rethink their tiny Protoss life. So there are a couple.
I mean, we even saw that in Bonneth versus Jerry in the last series, so it happens. You know, you can think you've got godlike Zealot Micro, and then all of a sudden, I mean, your Zealot Micro can only carry you so far when there's 20 Speedlings in your main killing everything, so looks like 2-Pack gonna push out with a few of his Zealots. +1 attack is actually a little bit delayed for him, so it's not like this is going to be a +1 attack, but maybe wants to force a few extra Zerglings. But what he doesn't know, because he didn't have a probe in the base for very long, is he doesn't know there's a Hydralisk den. He doesn't know all of these Hydras are flooding across the map to him. Now, this is going to be a fake Hydra bus. Well, I say a fake, but he is going to go into a 4th hatchery from here, so he's not going super duper all in. But, I mean, 2Pac really needs to figure out this is going on because he still only has 2 cannons.
Yeah, I don't know how fake this is, man. There's nothing but Hydras in production. Usually if it's a fake, then you'll see like 5 to 6 Hydras, and then you'll just
Yeah.
produce drones after that. But we're still going. We still got nothing but Hydras, and Speed's about to finish.
I mean, if it's not going to get scouted, you may as well do it, you know, because he knows there's no additional cannons up here. The Overlord can see that, and all of a sudden 2Pac is being forced back into his base. 3 cannons starting immediately at the back, but this gateway is going to go down. This forge is going to go down, and when this forge goes down, there's no +1 available for our Protoss player, and there's no Templar Archives yet. The Citadel's done. You have a Corsair, but what good is a Corsair going to do you against this many Hydralisks at your natural expansion?
Well, I was talking about how 2 cannons is, a nice kind of safe way to be. Might need a few more than those. But honestly, the rest of the cannons are warping in pretty well. It's still a bad spot to be in, but he's not dead just yet. 2Pac is going to have to wait a little bit longer before he is out of the woods just yet. So moving the Hydras forward.
Oh, this is a nice block.
But look at the probes. Probes are so good, Kicks.
They are. He just surrounds the remaining Hydras with those probes. Obviously, he's not mining with them. That's going to be a big problem, but he holds on for now. He needs to add more cannons, though, because the number of Hydralisks is ever increasing. The 4th hatchery of production starting to kick in, actually going into a 5th hatchery as well. I don't think he has enough drones to support that for now, but he's got a way out. He's got a transition, and it looks like 2Pac's going to lose his last remaining cannons.
It sure does. I mean, yeah, to be fair, he does have Zealots out. Maybe those can buy a little bit of time, but, like, you got no Forge. Like, you got no Gateway. Like, or I guess you got Gateways in the main, but, like, not at the front building the wall is what I meant.
Yeah.
And so now the Hydras are just busting into your main here, and, oh, this is just going to be so hard to stop.
Yeah, it looks like this could be the nail in the coffin here for 2Pac. He's pulling his probes. He's going to see what he can do. The probes actually going down before the Zealots can even get involved in this engagement. There is now 5 gateways up, but 2Pac has lost so much. More probes, more Hydras actually coming in from the back. And I mean, 2Pac's doing his best to hold this off. He's killing a lot of these Hydras without losing too many probes. But this is just the first wave.
Yeah, and he's pumping off of 4 hatcheries. It's not like this was, or 5 hatcheries actually, my bad. It's just not going to stop. We're just going to see nothing but non-stop Hydras, and there's no way he'll be able to outproduce this.
Yeah, this is really dangerous for 2Pac. He's barely mining at his natural, barely mining at his main. I mean, he's held off the Hydras once again. A great amount of micro coming in from 2Pac, but the next wave of Hydras is done. It's like we're watching a tower defense game, but there's no towers.
Yeah, this is like when you hold down the fast forward button on those tower defense games, but you really shouldn't.
Yeah.
Because it just keeps coming, and they don't stop coming. And the rest of that song probably too. I will say one kind of minor critique is that Mitak is moving his Hydras like way too far forward, and so they're getting in melee range of the probes and the Zealots, and so obviously, yeah, you're going to need to control your Hydras maybe a little bit better than that. But he just has so much of an overwhelming advantage, I don't think that's going to matter.
Yeah, I mean, 2Pac has lost his final remaining Zealots now. Got a Forge up in the top middle, but he's not really been able to afford any cannons. And the final Hydras, the final Zealots just coming out the gateways now, getting funneled into this small choke. 2Pac actually getting stuck outside of his own main now, but out of his own natural even, and more Hydras just keep coming.
Yeah, and so I think this is kind of the beginning of, well, I guess it's been the beginning of the end for a while. But I mean, the Zealots are doing really well, and honestly, these are the hero probes. There might be a probe with like 3 or 4 kills out here, because
yeah, I found
they have
one with
really
2
been
before,
putting in work.
Yeah,
okay, so there's one with 3 kills, and there's another one with 2 kills. So these are assassin probes, because Hydras just don't function that well in melee range. So This is like the longest death throws of a Protoss player I've seen in a while. But here come Zerglings, and that should really help to kind of close it out.
Yeah, I mean, the Lings have done a great job against the Hydras, but Lings against probes, not something the probes are going to enjoy doing. It looks like we are going to have those extra gateways going down the Zealots. Unfortunately, having to go around the probes, trying to transfer again to go for that block, but they're just not in position in time. They're not in a position to glitch out the Hydralisk, and it looks like the final units of 2-pack go down. GG! And Mitak takes game number 3 in favor of Psi.
All right, so Psi up 2-1. We were talking about them kind of flipping the script on last round and coming out with a brand new sort of, I don't know, look on life. They're doing a pretty good job of that now, up 2-1. So, wow, I guess that means that we're going to go to game number 4 and potentially even game number 5. I don't know, but let's find out.
Okay, let's go to a quick break just while we load up the next replay, and we'll see you guys when we get back. Okay guys, welcome back to the STPL. My name is Pix, joining me is Rapid, and we're here for game number 4 of Psystorm versus FBW. It's been a pretty sick series so far, and the next 2 players should be pretty sick as well.
Hopefully not actually sick. As somebody who is just now getting over, there's this Korean flu that kind of went through everybody out here, and it might still be out there, but I've recovered, and so I hope that there are no other sick players, only sick players.
Yeah, so starting us off, we're going to have for FBW, she has been a member of Red since round 2, but she switched over, joined FBW in their round 4 campaign. She's currently 3 for 1 against, well, she's actually 4 for 1 against Protoss here, so we're going to have another PvP. Cadenti, I'd say ZVP is probably her best matchup at the moment, but her ZVT and mute micro is really good, so not too sure. But you know what, I mean, it's been crazy to watch her improve as she's been in Korea, and she's going to be over here against Headmaster, one of Psy's, probably, is definitely their best player.
Maybe, possibly, most definitely. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's one of those. The headmaster of Psi is very, I want to say kind of like streaky. It's like I always mispredict what's going to happen here. There's only been a few games where I've been able to kind of see the win coming. And there haven't been a lot of wins for Psi, but a lot of them have come from Headmaster. He's got a positive win ratio, which is hard to find on the team, and he is one of their best players, so we'll see how he does.
Yep, and we're just going to introduce our next map, which is going to be Great Barrier Reef. Okay guys, welcome back. We're moving into our fourth map of today. It's going to be Great Barrier Reef. Now if you haven't seen this map before, it's a 3-player map, fairly straightforward, swarm positions 12, 4 and 8 o'clock on your screens there. Just going to put some numbers just so you guys know what that is. One of the major things about this map is you can see the natural does have this small mineral. Now, this small mineral does open up very, very quickly if you mine it out. This gives you access to this third base, which is mineral only to start with. Now, much like Outsider, if you've ever seen that map, it was in the Frontier League of StarCraft Remastered. You may have seen it there. There is this gas base hidden behind, so while it looks like a mineral-only base, if you can glitch a worker through, or if you can float a command center over, you gain access to this very secure third gas.
Yes, and kind of just like Outsider, the idea is that you're supposed to use kind of the back bases or the side bases as like safer options, but they can actually be a double-edged sword if you wind up getting dropped early on. And so a lot of maps like this do encourage drop play in order to kind of subvert the safety of those outer bases.
Yeah, and I mean, there is another weird thing going on this map. There is kind of like this map, or this mineral-only base in kind of the middle of nowhere. Now, when you look at it, it's actually kind of an awkward base to kind of hold on to. There's actually 3 different angles of attack to it, and it makes it a very difficult base to secure. You don't usually see this too much early on, but as the game gets a little bit later through, sometimes you can see players take that. If you see Zerg go for a Hydralisk Bust, sometimes it's good to take this base because it's a good forward position to both of the other mains. So whereas the 3 different attack angles obviously benefit the person attacking that middle base, they also benefit a Zerg who puts a hatchery there with a Hydra Burst, because it gives you at least two very, very quick angles and very quick positions to go and attack the enemy natural. So not sure if we're going to see that here. Cadenti, I mean, it's kind of a meme, but one of Cadenti's major builds back when she was still living in just the UK and before she'd gone to Korea was the 973. And I'm fairly certain that's still a big thing of her repertoire, but it's going to be cool to see this as we get into game number 4. It's Cadenti versus Headmaster. Okay, now starting us off here in the top middle position, we do have the yellow Zerg fighting for FBW. I nearly said red. It's Cadenti.
And on the other side of Great Barrier Reef in the orange is our Protoss player Headmaster.
Now I know you mentioned this a little bit before, but it's kind of hard to estimate exactly what Headmaster's going to do and exactly how he's going to do against his opponents. He's a very, very strong Protoss player, a little bit inconsistent, but he always seems to manage to pull it out when it counts. Like, he did beat DeWalt in a PvP in the last round. That was one of their it was kind of like a major upset, if anything. DeWalt, obviously one of the best foreign players at the moment, currently out in Korea at least for another few months, I believe. I'm not entirely sure. But he just recently played in KCM. I mean, Headmaster took a game off of him on Neo Ground Zero, a very standard macro map. So it's kind of cool to see Headmaster really doing what he can throughout the STPL. It's been a great journey for him, and it's just been a little bit unfortunate that in round 1, 2, and 3, while Headmaster's been putting in a lot of work, some of the other players haven't been able to sort of keep up with him. And even though he's taking key victories, it's not been enough to sort of take them into a victory them overall. So, looking forward to seeing exactly what Headmaster can do here against Cadenti.
Yeah, so let's just take a look at the way things are starting out. It looks like we've got the spawning pool down already in the main and the probe. Pesky is always trying to block the hatchery at the natural. I think the drone's gonna die. Okay, yeah, okay, it's safe. saved with just about one more hit left on it. Pylon block. Okay, Headmaster really trying to be a bad person.
Yeah, now, we saw this earlier on Holy World. We saw, just trying to remember who exactly it was, they just took a third base at the sort of mineral only. You don't really have that option this early on. This mineral field does have 100 minerals at, so it makes it a little bit more difficult to do. Oh, the probe just misses the second block there, but that's still a bit annoying for Cadenti. Cadenti is actually going to opt to take this this other natural, it looks like.
Yeah, gonna take a very long trek, and there's 6 Zerglings out right now, so we shouldn't see too much more harassment. Actually, so there's a couple of things you can do. You can either try to kill the probe
Oh, no.
and then go for something else that's hidden, but I don't see too much at this front door, Kicks.
Yeah, once again, I mean, we saw this mistake from Bonnet. Headmaster has opted to skip Forge and go straight into a Nexus despite scouting no hatchery. This is a very dangerous play, and you can see that Zoe Cadenti gets her things into the main base, and this is not looking good for Headmaster. One of Cadenti's major assets is her ability to micro in absolutely insane situations, and these Lings have already got 2 probes. Can they get a third one? They do, and this is just not looking good for Headmaster.
Yeah, especially because the Zerg players not been had to invest like really anything at all. It's like, oh no, 6 Lings, but you're getting so much value off of that. And behind that, we're seeing 2 hatcheries come down, and that means that you know, the explosion after this is just going to be that much more powerful. So this another probe goes down. Okay, this is starting to get out of control.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy here. It's not often we see games like this, but Cadenti is just doing a lot of damage with just these 4 Lings that go into the main. Another probe goes down. How absolutely insane. I mean, the one benefit is Headmaster's going to have his Nexus up a lot quicker, so he's going to be able to start producing probes. But Cadenti is doing a very, very, very good job with these Lings.
Yeah, you're really trying for that silver lining there, Kicks. Yeah, sure, he's going to be able to remake the probes. But, I mean, if you just look at the other side of the map, we've got, what is this, 4 hatcheries? And I think we might see a small attempt at repeating that last game. Although I'm waiting to see if it's going to be Mutas or Hydras. I don't think we have the
no gas, or Spire
done yet.
Yeah, there's been no gas at all.
Okay, I was getting optimistic there for a second.
Yeah, these Zealots getting a lot of damage down on these Lings, and the trouble is Cadenti doesn't actually have anything outside of those Lings to defend. And oh, wow, Headmaster has actually realized that that location has been... No, it hasn't, I'm just being completely silly, it's the creep throwing me off. The Cadenti holds with the Lings anyway, and she actually takes the supply lead.
Yeah, wow, having a supply lead at this point in the game, that's going to feel really good. And also you've been able to defend pretty successfully against the counterattack. I think maybe losing 1 drone, but at the end of the day, yeah, you're totally fine. You've got 3 bases up and 3 idle drones at the 3rd.
Yeah, the 3 idle drones, I mean, could be a handicap, you never know, but looks like she has realized she spent a lot of her energy microing these Zealots to try and, or the Zerglings, to try and kill the Zealots. I mean, Headmaster's done a very good job at keeping this guy alive. Goes back to that statement I made in TT1's game, where it's like they bar up everything. But there we go, looks like Lings have actually broken through the front door, and 1 Ling gets into the main.
How? Oh my goodness, you were talking about how Protoss players dip their Zealots in butter. These Zerglings are just having no problem squeezing through everything. This is why, like, I don't know, man, Forge Fast Expand just seems like kind of the way. And also, we've got another one of these 1 cannon Protosses on our hands here, Kicks. And eventually, enough Lings are going to run by to make him throw down a second one. But let's see what the follow-up to this is. There's no, like, hyper-ultra aggression like we saw in the last game. It's just going to be, you know, getting up to, I think, 5 hatches and then pumping Hydras across the map.
Yeah.
Although I think about 4 hatches. Okay, there's
5 hatches now, yeah. The Hydras come up. There's no crazy amount of gas being mined, so likely going to see a lair coming in. Cadenti's just going to play this one standard. Cadenti is obviously going to feel pretty good about her late game in PvZ. I know it took a while for her eyes to recover. So before we saw a lot of games from her where she was just trying to end the game quickly, where she had LASIK and it was sort of irritating her eyes and everything. But now she's back to her old form. She's practicing a hell of a lot. She was in KCM yesterday, and she's just doing a really, really good job here. Even her macro is on point. The head in supply over the Protoss player at 7 minutes, which is not something you often see.
Yeah, beating out DeWalt, really good performance there. And I think the biggest thing for me is that you see a lot of kind of refinement, a lot of very just solid build orders. And I think this one is totally locked down. All the way from that early link pressure, getting so much damage done. And now, what are you going to do? You're going to run these Zealots across the map to harass? I don't think so. Because the Hydras are already on their way. And you know, Headmaster's going to see this and throw down a couple of extra cannons. He's got 4. That's a lot, but I mean, this is even more Hydras, so we'll see if this Hydra bust goes better than the last one.
Yeah, now it looks like we are going to have the Corsair coming out. Going to scout that the Hydras are coming in. Now there is 4 cannons here. The 5th one has been added on. +1 attack though. Not yet finished for Headmaster. I don't think this is going to finish if Cadency jumps on at the right time. But the Corsair in the main going to eventually kill an Overlord. It takes a long, long time for one Overlord to die to one Corsair, which is kind of crazy when you start to see the numbers go up. But looks like the wall is about to be harassed a little bit here by Cadency. Headmaster moving out with some Zealots, not losing any, just trying to delay long enough for his +1 attack to finish. And I mean, the fact that range isn't yet done is what's really his saving grace at the moment.
Well, speed's the real thing. You got to close the distance, and now that speed's done, it's a little bit easier to run back and forth and back and forth. But yeah, you're right. The +1 is not done. There are a couple of DTs, but you know, even those aren't going to help because there's this Overlord here. So many Hydras. So even though these Zealots can get out and get on top of them, it's just not going to matter. The Zealots are all dead. That means there's nothing to stop the front part of this wall from going down.
Yep, but he's delayed enough that I don't think Cadency's going to be able to block +1 now. Cadency would have to move in and attack very, very quickly. Wow, looks like Cadency's actually going to try and take down this pylon. I think that's going to unpower the Forge. If there was like 1 or 2 more Hydralisks there, this could be a very, very dangerous situation, but... Oh my god, the Forge stops at milliseconds away from getting +1!
What? Oh my... What
Wait.
percentage is that done?
Oh my
That's
god.
like 99.
The pylon's
That's
gonna
so
finish. It's gonna
heartbreaking.
power it, but is it gonna finish? It's gonna be so close. It does! +1. No, it doesn't. He cancelled
No,
it.
it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Did he
Whoa.
really cancel it?
I think so.
What
That
even,
was
What
crazy.
even happened there? That's a little crazy there, Kix. I don't know. I did not expect it to be that close. And obviously, you know, +1 is a big deal because it is going to allow you to be a lot more aggressive. But at the same time, like I think there are bigger issues here, and that is, you know, the Zealots not having their upgrades a little bit sooner, the cannons maybe not being perfectly positioned. But even still, this contain is just insane.
Now we're actually going to go up to 7 gate from Headmaster. Now he does have Storm finishing up, but there's no Templar here to gather energy as of yet. There's going to be no Dark Archons or anything crazy like that. Not really worth it at this point. But there's no Forge to add additional cannons either. And Cadency is double expanding behind this. Going for that mineral only behind her natural. And going for the other main. And we should see Hive coming in fairly shortly for Cadency as well. But looks like Cadency wants to go for some... I think this is Overlord drop if I remember correctly.
It's Overlord speed. The Overlord drop is the one that looks like scales.
Oh yeah, okay. Overlord speed, fairly normal, but drop could come up behind this. I mean, we saw before, the main is very droppable. So, looks like we're going to have Kadar and Amulet coming in for Headmaster. Wants to get the additional energy on the Templar. That also gives them the additional starting energy. The first Storm actually really good, taking out a large clump of Hydras. Cadency dropping the ball a little bit there, not microing them for just a second, losing a lot.
Yeah, I mean, this is what's going to happen, right? Storm is a good spell, but the idea is that at the point you're losing your Hydras to Storm, you're supposed to be able to produce more of them than you lose. And I think that's exactly where we are, right? We've got so many hatcheries all over the map, and the hardest thing for Protoss to do in PvZ, it feels like, is taking a third base, because you have to press out. You have to land these crazy good storms. There are some good storms here, but not the greatest. That's still an overwhelming ocean of Hydras.
Yeah, now the one benefit that Headmaster does have is he has the option of going for that mineral-only third base behind his natural, and you can glitch a probe through there very easily, but obviously this does lead in to that possible drop play coming in from Cadenti. There is a Spire out here as well, so Mules are still an option. I mean, it looks like we are going to have a double DT, double High Templar drop when you can't work out which style of harassment you're going for. Why not go for both? Just throw a Reaver in there for good measure as well. Go for the Protoss 111. But looks like this shuttle is actually getting into the base completely undetected.
Wow. Okay.
Well,
I mean, if it does, then
oh, there is an Overlord. Oh, that's close.
yes, there is, but there's only a few Hydras, and I think if you just right-click those down, actually, I take that back. He doesn't have +1. I keep forgetting that. Yeah, you definitely don't want to fight there.
Oh, Scourge!
Chasing the shuttle. There we go. All right, taking it out. A big pick-off there for sure.
Yeah, and the DTs do manage to get away, but, I mean, they didn't really achieve too much. They dropped in the main, lost their 2 High Templar cousins, and ran away. Life of a DT right there, not even going to be able to cancel this hatchery, not even getting a single drone kill. This harassment, not the best, but oh my god, big engagement in the middle.
Meantime, yeah, absolutely massive storms come down. Tons of Hydras die, but it's still not enough, because if you look at the supply, it's been an uphill battle for Headmaster this entire time.
Yeah, I mean, Headmaster is getting himself further and further locked into his base. Getting a third base is going to be hard. Headmaster actually taking a third in the middle of the map. But Cadenti's actually sending some Hydras past. Will they scout it? So close. But Headmaster is just in such a terrible position right now. It looks like if Cadenti can win this game, she's going to be taking it to the ace match. Don't forget, an ace match, that's when things are really going to get interesting, because we could even see a rematch between these two players, and I mean, that could be kind of cool. I don't want to write out Headmaster, but we've seen this situation quite a lot. I mean, Headmaster's army is very, very small at the moment. He doesn't have a third base. I don't think he's realized about the third base at the back. Cadenti can see the third base of Headmaster now, so that's going to go down. The cannons are going to have to be cancelled. The Nexus is going to have to be cancelled. And all of a sudden, Headmaster is just finding himself further and further behind. Cadenti's on 8 base now. No, 7 base, sorry. 8 base in a second.
This is like Sauron's Zerg. It's just like, what are you supposed to do here? This is just kind of an overwhelming advantage. At this point, I mean, the storms are still good. We've still got a couple more, and to be honest, I mean, they're getting tons of value, but the value is just not enough. I mean, you could kill every single Hydra right here, and the ability to replace would come in so quickly that Headmaster would still be behind. And so, even though this is a pretty good way to defend, you mentioned the comparison of this map to Outsider, but the difference is that the southern base that Headmaster's taking right now is actually totally open. It's not walled off. It's not an island base. So as soon as that gets found, it's like, well,
it already
I
is.
don't know.
There's an Overlord there already, so that's it. You know, as soon as Cadenti realizes this, she can go, and as quick as those stormed Hydralists were gone, they've just been replenished with twice the number. Like, this is just an overwhelming amount of Hydras coming in here for Headmaster, and I don't even think he has enough storms to deal with this. Cadenti's kind of just playing with her food right now.
Yeah, a nice contained setup, and that means that there's really nowhere for Headmaster to go. He's just now getting that third Nexus up, but how long is that going to last?
Not very long, I'm gonna have to say. I usually don't like to count people out, but Cadenti is up to 9 base now. She's up in supply by over 8 supply. How do you... can't beat this as Protoss? The only way you can do it is you take this back base, but the trouble is your main is almost mined out, your natural is almost mined out, and that back base is a mineral only until you break through the minerals or glitch through. And Cadenti's not gonna let you get away with that. Cadenti not going into Hive though. Cadenti has been known to say that Hive Tech is kind of her way of losing the game, so she is going to stick on Lair Tech. Can we get some 6 Storms? I don't even think there's enough High Templar. This Templar doesn't even have enough for Storm. That's a good Storm, but there's just no units for Headmaster here.
I think the only reason these storms are so good is because there's just oceans of Hydras.
Yeah.
Like, anywhere you put a storm is going to be a good storm. but there's just not enough of it. I mean, just look at how sick these storms are, right? These are dream storms, but it's only because there's infinity hydras, lurkers, everything up at the front, and there's not enough storms to go around.
Yeah, I mean, even the cannons have gone down at the front now, and Cadenzi is just sort of moving away into victory here. Headmaster's trying to hold on with what he has, but it's not enough. GG! And Cadenzi takes down Headmaster to take us in to our first ace match of the STPL Round 4.
Yeah, and what an ace match to have. I think both of the results from these series is somewhat surprising.
Yep.
First off, that IRK was able to 4-0 Net Wars. I mean, maybe a 3-1. I'm like, okay, wow, that's a really good result. But 4-0, that's pretty impressive. And then in our second series to go all the way to the ace match for pSi, a team that they had good showings last round, but not that many. And
Yeah.
so to start things off, I mean, obviously this is a great way to start.
So we're going to be going into our ace match. Now, there was a little bit of a mix-up on the maps, so this is on Eye of the Storm again, which is fine. Eye of the Storm is a good map, but that was a little bit of an administration error from me. I didn't actually post the ace match to the players for some reason. Most of them found it in the thread, but some didn't. So we're going to see a PvZ when we get back after this very short break on Eye of the Storm. Okay guys, welcome back to the STPL. We are going into our ace match game here of FBW versus pSi. Maybe not a result people would expect to go to an ace. I think a lot of people think, well, FBW are going to get the easy 4-0, but pSi once again showing they can clutch it when they need to, but can they clutch it here in this ace match? That's going to be a hard task because the two players we're going to have here are pretty good. And starting us off here for FBW even is one of the best foreign players. Well, I always say this, I always pick him up, and then he never actually achieves too much. But I mean, he's 7-0 in the STPL so far. It is, well, he's actually 8-0 now. It's going to be... What?
Awesome to see TT1 back for the ace match. I'm not sure what the decision-making process is for which players play which weeks, or the players that are chosen for the ace match. But, I mean, hey, undefeated, it's hard to argue with that. So it's time to give TT1 the chance at his 9th win in a row.
Yeah, I mean, can this man do it? He's taken down JoJo, he's taken down Galaxy. He's just an overall really, really good Protoss player. I mean, he took down... Who was he playing against before? He actually played against Praise in a PvZ as well, so... He's 3-0 up against Berg right now, and his opponent is going to be Mitak or pSi. Now, Mitak, not their strongest player, I have to admit, but he's pulled out very good wins when he's needed to. He actually did win before against Tupac with a really insane Hydra Bust. And if there's one thing we've seen of TT1, it's not immune to Hydra Bust.
Yes. Well, I mean, TT1 is... I feel like he needs to become immune to some of these, like, wacky builds that he tries out. Because whether it's, like, PvP Nexus first, or whether it's, like, PvZ, different
Nexus
takes
first.
on... Yeah, Nexus first. It's like, well, let's pick the map with the most open natural and hit that 12 Nexus. Like, I don't know, man. So I hope he doesn't die early. But if he doesn't, you know, there's always the chance that Mitak can bring it back in our final game of the night.
Yeah, so let's actually have a look at the map they're going to be playing on now. Ordinarily, the ace match in week 1 would be playing on Fortress S8, but there was a little bit of an administration error on the part of both me and the players at the same time. So we played another game on Eye of the Storm. They asked if they wanted me. They asked me if they wanted me to make them replay it, and I just said, you know what? I didn't want to force them to do that because that makes it very awkward. Like, I didn't want to change the outcome of the series by forcing them pre-game. So it's like, you know what, let's keep it, let's go for another game on Eye of the Storm. There's nothing wrong with that, it's a great map. We saw a Zerg victory over Protoss before. Are we going to see it again? Can Mitak take down TT1? Let's find out as we get into the ace match here on Eye of the Storm. Okay, so starting us off here in the top right position, we do have the Teal Protoss fighting for FBW. It's the man himself, the Canadian hero. It's TT1.
I like to call him a North American hero, just to kind of loop everything all in together. But you are correct. And his opponent in the bottom right-hand corner is Mitak from Psystorm.
Yeah, now listen, Mitak is, he's quite versed in the art of Hydralisk busting, so unsure if we'll see that again here, but it's a very big possibility. TT1, of course, does have his work cut out for him, does need to be sure that he plays a little bit more standard. He would have had a chance to talk to his teammate Hirmu before the game, so he may have, not Hirmu even, Tupac, so it's very possible that Tupac was like, hey man, this guy Hydra busted me, be careful. But you know what, TT1 is a man of many faces. He's been around for a very long time, did quite well in StarCraft 2 as well, when that first came out, then kind of disappeared back to Brood War, didn't really play any tournaments forever, and now he's finally making a step back into the tournament scene, and it's been kind of exciting to see that.
That is correct. I think the return is always a hard thing to do. Obviously, you know, there have been famous Brood War pro gamers that have made huge returns from StarCraft 2 to StarCraft 1. Sulky, Rain, I think the two arch examples. But it's hard to do. And so I'm excited to see more players starting to do that, even if it's not, you know, like super huge mega names. It is still impressive to see the ability to kind of switch back and forth. Even
in the foreign scene, you have players like White Ra who did really well in Brood War. He did really well for a foreigner in StarCraft 2 as well early on. I think White Ra kind of... Nowadays in StarCraft 2, foreigners do a lot better than they used to. I think kind of the fall of Casper really did help that. Legacy of the Void helped that along a lot as well. You had players like Scarlet, Stefano before Scarlet as well, making huge waves, kind of catching the foreigners up to the Koreans. But White Ra was one of those kind of like a pioneer, I would say, of like foreign play in Brood War and StarCraft 2. He plays a lot more Brood War recently. I think he still does play StarCraft 2 as well, but I did actually get the chance to talk to him a little bit at BlizzCon. That was really cool. He's a really, really cool guy, and he said he always wants to play in Brood War tournaments, so I'm hoping to try and get something that he can get involved with at some point soon, because having the, I think he used to be called like Papa Toss or something, because he's like everyone's favorite uncle.
Yeah. Yeah, he is definitely an uncle, a grandfather, I don't know, he's pretty old at this point, but definitely still a staple StarCraft scene. So let's actually kind of talk about what's going on here. Third hatch coming down as the Forge is just now getting started. So it was another gateway expand. This has been a big day for gateway expands. I'm used to seeing mostly Forge expands, but that's maybe a trend for today. Probe finally getting taken out there right as it re-enters the natural, so it doesn't see the lower half of the creep, so it doesn't know if maybe there's something secretive thrown down there. And taking out the probe at 3 minutes is always kind of a good feeling.
Yeah, I mean, this is another example of a gateway expand straight into Nexus as well. I mean, this is kind of like the rarest of builds, because Zealots are good, but we've seen two prime examples today of why you can't skip the Forge, but TT1 kept his probe alive. He saw the lack of links, he saw the lack of speed as well, and that really did give him that power to skip the Forge a little bit later. We do have that Hydra then coming in, and we do see that TT1 scouted the 6 o'clock base here, so TT1 should have a fair idea of what's going on, and I mean, he should know that Mitak did Hydra Bus before, so I kind of hope that TT1 is going to play a little bit more defensive, but we see the one cannon again. This could get a little bit dicey.
Dude, these one cannon Protoss players, man, I tell you. We'll find out if that actually hurts him. And in the end, if you're being aggressive, having one cannon at home doesn't matter if you're killing everybody with your zealots across the map, right? So let's find out. Here we go. We've got the first 6 zealots, or I guess it's 5 zealots and a probe heading down, and currently there are a total of 6, now 8 zerglings, so might need a few more.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you quickly. Huge thank you to Sugo for the $25 donation, man. It means a hell of a lot. Thank you for the support. And Sugo, of course, one of the good players on NAS, played a lot of games in the STPL. If you haven't seen games and you want to, all the VODs of all of his games are up on the STPL TV YouTube as well. So you can go and support Sugo. He streams a lot as well. He's around a cool guy. So I see him. Looks like we're going to have Zealots attacking this third base down in the 6 o'clock location. Thing's going to force the Zealots away for a little bit, but I mean, this is lost mining time for Mitak.
Yeah, a lot of lost mining time. That bottom base basically doesn't exist. It made a drone, it lost a drone, that's it. So a lot of value from these Zealots, and I think this should show a lot of players that you don't have to totally commit with your Zealots.
Yeah.
You can actually just get in there, force a little of lost mining time, and then run them back and just have them. And if you have like an extra 5 Zealots, every Protoss wants that, right? So you kind of just take the win. But it looks like TT1 wants to kind of use the vulnerability of having a narrow ramp over here to try to block that with the Zealot and keep sort of forcing a hemorrhage on these lings. But eventually this is going to run out, right? And so I feel like it's better to sort of cut your losses and just run, because you need to make sure you don't just lose everything for free.
Yeah, and the problem is, we're starting to see the Hydra Flood coming in for Mitak now. Now, he doesn't have any Hydra upgrades, so it's not going to be a super fast bust or anything. But there's still only one cannon. Like, every time I keep panning back to see how many cannons there are, and every time it's still one. Now, Mitak has a lot of links, he's got a good number of Hydras now, and they're pushing across the map. And +1 attack is nowhere near done for TT1. I mean, Mitak going to play a little bit more defensively for now, but it looks like he's flipped the switch. The Hydra is coming out in insane numbers at the moment. It's on the way.
Well, speed's maybe a little bit slow. I don't want to call it slow because it's speed, but it's going to be there. But by the time the Hydras do show up, a lot of these Zealots will have regenerated their shields. He did save all 5 Zealots from down there, so he's going to have a lot of Zealots. And because there's a high ground versus low ground, it's hard for Hydras to fight up from the low ground against Zealots who are blocking at the top. So it's a decent spot for TT1 to be in. This is just actually so many Zealots. And 1 speed and +1 finish, those Hydras are not going to be able to make it out on the map.
Yeah, and the thing is, Mitak hasn't added any additional drones. He's going into a 4th hatchery again. We saw him go into 5 hatcheries before, but he's not mining at his 3rd base. So this is relatively a relatively aggressive build here. I neglect to say it's all in because I always hate saying that, but he's adding on a lot of Hydras. He's actually adding on a lot of the things now to reinforce this. So he is working just off of a 2-base economy. So he has to make something work with these Hydras, whether or not he can kill a large flood of the Zealots. Of course, that high ground, low ground dynamic gonna benefit Mitak, at least have done, but he's been forced to pull back. Now it's going to be a lot of Zealots against a lot of Hydras, and this is a fight the Hydras don't often like to take.
Ooh, and the wraparound from the Zealots on the top. This is a lot of damage. Now, there's no +1, but there are an overwhelming number of Zealots. After saving those Zealots earlier, he keeps them alive and is able to just deal so much damage here. Drone's going to try to drill on top. They're not actually drilling. They're actually just straight up fighting. Generally not a great strat for drones to do. I think this might just be the end of it. I mean, I don't see any units here. There's a couple of Zerglings, but those are going to die. And a beautiful timing here. GG, Midak taps out. TT1 wins the ace match for Foreign Brood War.
Does indeed. Now, I always love to see this kind of play. TT1 going for the counter aggression, possibly counteracting the idea that there could be some kind of crazy Hydra all in. Just builds a ton of Zealots. Mage goes to kill the guy. Like, you can't beat that, right? That's just a lot of Zealots, a lot of damage. You get in before speed's done on the Hydras, and all of a sudden, a dire situation of just 1 cannon. It doesn't matter, because as you said, you're in the guy's base killing him. So, what are you gonna do?
Yeah. No, that's a perfect example of why it's okay to underbuild, or not underbuild, but just not to build a ton of defense back at home. Because even if he did get counterattacked and, oh no, you're punishing the 1 cannon, you just lose at that point because there's tons of Zealots in your base. So really well done. Super sick to see the series go to an ace match. We had kind of both kinds of games today, right? We had a 4-0. That was a really surprise kind of upset. And then on the other side, you have a really close 3-2 that is still a narrow victory for Foreign Brood War. But still an impressive showing by Psystorm. They pick up 2 wins in their first round, or their first series of the 4th round. And I'm looking forward to seeing if they can continue to show some really good games as the round 4 progresses.
Yeah, I mean, we had some really, really close games in that second series, but TT1 taking down Praise. Marine taking down Hinmu in a TBZ on Bloody Ridge. That was kind of a crazy game where Hinmu just went super aggressive. Marine just built tons of bunkers, built siege tanks, and held it. We saw Mitak take down 2-pack with that kind of crazy 3-hatch into 5-hatch into lots of Hydra all in. That was kind of crazy. Didn't have many drones, but it didn't matter. He broke through. 2-pack stood valiantly, but couldn't hold on. Then we saw Cadenti take down Headmaster with an overwhelming number of Hydras. Hydra is definitely a staple of the ZVP matchup. And then we saw TT1 take down Mitak in the ace match on Eye of the Storm. Great, well-played game by TT1. Just an absolute clinic on how to use Zealots in this matchup, as she said. Didn't overcommit, and just really kept them alive for as long as humanly possible.
Yeah, very well played there at the end. Congratulations to Foreign Brood War for that victory. And that's going to do it for the first broadcast of the final round of STPL. It's been kind of a long wait, but it's good to have STPL back. It's good to have you back, and all the viewers as well. So thanks to everybody for coming out, everybody who donated, subbed, just watched, and told everybody else about watching. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, I do indeed. I've been through a little bit of a tough time. Building all this stuff for the STPL kind of helped me get through it, so I'm glad I've finally had a chance to show it off, because I built most of this stuff in the last, like, 4 weeks, and I've been sat there going, like, I want to show people, I want to show people, I want to show people. I was like, no, I'm going to hold it. I'm going to wait until the broadcast. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. It's going to be a sign-off for me, and just repeating what Rapid said, thank you so much for all the support, and I'll see you guys on Wednesday at least. Any closing words, Rapid?
No, that's it. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you on Wednesday.
Good then.